Hello bio students. I know that some of you have been having a little bit of trouble with these dihybrid crosses, so I wanted to go ahead and do a video for you showing you how to do the warm-up question. Now some of you guys got this right, so you can still watch the video if you want. Maybe you'll get some tips or more understanding, but this is really for people who are very confused, okay? All right, so dihybrid crosses, that means we're talking about two traits. So when you read that warm-up question, it's talking about rabbits, right? And it's talking about rabbits who have different color fur, right? Spotted and solid. And then it talks about their ears. So that's two different traits. So when you read a problem and it has two separate traits, that means you need to do a dihybrid cross, okay? So after reading through the question and understanding that it's a dihybrid cross, you need to make yourself a key. This is what the key for the warm-up question should look like. We have the solid fur color. In the question, it tells us it's dominant. So what we want to do is use a capital letter, and you can use whatever capital letter you want. I chose an S. So you do capital S. And then I put this little line here because this could either be a lowercase s or it could be a capital S. Either way, this genotype, which is the letters, gives me this phenotype, the physical appearance of solid fur. In the question, it tells me that spots are recessive of this trait. Of fur, spots are recessive. So little s, these are two little s's, will give me spots. Only if I have little s, will I get spots. This one up here, this genotype, if I have a little s, that means it's carrying the allele for spots, but its phenotype, because it has that dominant one, will still be solid. Then I do the same thing for the ears. So I chose E for the ears, for that trait. So again, in the problem, it tells me that the dominant trait is upright ears. So again, I do a capital letter, I chose E, and then I put this line to tell myself that whether it's capital E, or capital E, lowercase e, it's going to be upright ears. Then I'm gonna write lowercase e, because the recessive trait is floppy ears. So this is important to write yourself a key for every problem that you do, whether it's monohybrid or dihybrid crosses. Some problems will give you the key, but if they don't, it's really helpful to actually write out the key, okay? All right, so the next problem when we read through this is, what are the parents? Because we're talking about offspring, we want to try to figure out what the babies are going to look like, but we need to know what the parents look like. So in the problem, it says that both parents are heterozygous for both traits. Hetero means different, right? So that means for each of those traits, they're going to have a capital letter and a lowercase letter. That's heterozygous. So their genotype, which is the letters, is going to be capital S, lowercase s, capital E, lowercase e. And it says that both of them are heterozygous for both traits. So both parents have the same genotype. That means they have the same phenotype. They look the same as well, right? They're both solid fur with upright ears. But that's what heterozygous means. So the parents are going to be big S, big E, little e, big S, big E, little e. And this means I'm crossing them, that X, okay? Heterozygous for both traits. Then I need to figure out, what is the question asking for? It says, how many of their babies, of the offspring, are going to be spotted and floppy, okay? So neither one of the parents is spotted and floppy, but they have, because they're heterozygous, they do have that recessive allele. So it is possible for them to have babies that are spotted and floppy. Because it's a dihybrid cross, I need to make myself a Punnett square with 16 squares. It's really easy. You just draw a square or rectangle, and then you divide it in half down the middle, and then half again this way, and then half, 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 okay? So it's actually pretty easy to do the 16 squares. My next problem is figuring out, what do I put on the top and the sides. I'm gonna have 1, 2, 3, 4 things here and 1, 2, 3, 4 things here, okay? We're going to use the foil method, foil, okay? And that's what these lines right here are showing me, okay? So I'm gonna do it on this one. So you have to do it for both parents, okay, to figure out what you put on the top and side. Now for this problem, the parents have the same genotype. So you actually only have to do foil one time. So foil means first. So you take the first letter of each of the traits. So that would be big S, big E. I'm gonna switch colors. Then you do outer. The O stands for outer. So that would be capital S, lowercase e. And that marker does not want to work. So let's try a different one. Okay. Capital S, lowercase e. Okay. Inner is going to be little s, big E. And then last is going to be this little s, little e. Do you see how I did that? So with the genotype of both the parents, you want to use that foil method to see what you're going to put along the top and the sides. So then what I do is I put these same letters on this side, but only because the parents are the same genotype. If they had different genotypes, if these weren't exactly the same, you would need to use the foil method on both of the parents to see what you would put down this side, okay? So keep that in mind. It's not always going to be the exact same on both sides, but for this problem, it is the same. So then what I do is same with monohybrids, I bring things down and over. Okay, so I have a capital S, big E, capital S, big E, little e, capital S, lowercase s, big E, capital S, lowercase s, big E, little e. See how I brought everything over and down from the allele combinations that are on the top and the side. What I also would recommend is you're consistent about putting which trait first. So I'm always putting the S first, the fur color, okay? The spots are the solid. I'm always putting that first, and I'm always putting the capital letter first. If you don't do that, it will be very hard to look back at this and try to figure out the different phenotypes, the physical characteristics. So I'm just gonna go through and finish this Punnett square by bringing things down and over, okay? So I'm gonna keep going through. This actually gets pretty fun, and I think anyway, okay? And what I'm doing right here is writing the genotypes. Remember, the genotypes are those letters, right? The genotypes are the letters. The phenotype is the physical characteristic that something has, what it looks like, right? Okay, so I finished my Punnett square. This is what the finished Punnett square, dihybrid Punnett square for this cross is between these two parents. This is what all their babies are going to look like. This gives us the probability of what their babies will look like. Now, when you're doing these problems, the other thing you can do is choose different colors and go through to mark the different phenotypes. This problem is asking specifically how many spots and floppy babies there are. So those are both recessive traits. So both the first two letters will need to be lowercase s, and both the second two letters need to be lowercase s. So if I go through and I'm looking for little s, little e, there's only going to be one. Look, right down here, we have one offspring. So it's 1/16, or I think it's like 6.25, but it's 1/16 of the offspring are going to be spotted with floppy ears. And we can see that because right here. If it's asking you for a different phenotype, say solid and upright, you need to go through and look for the capital S and capital E, right? So these are different genotypes, but they do have the same phenotype, right? Because they both have those dominant genes. Both of these rabbits right here are going to be solid with upright ears. So all of these are as well. If we go through here, nope, not that one. Look, it's got little e. Not that one. Not that one, not that one. Not that one, not that one. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 of the offspring are going to be have the same phenotype as their parents, solid fur with upright ears. All right, well, hopefully this helped you guys out. Please jump on the Zoom call today if you have any more questions, or the Zoom call tomorrow or Monday or Tuesday. Again, the Zoom call is from 1 to 2 every day, every weekday. You can also post on the discussion boards or send me an email. All right, guys, bye.